We gotta talk about these horses, man. We gotta talk about these horses, man. All right. So, earlier today, in the Earl Legend Discord, a Mata Jr. said, "Who does winning ticket compete with?" Googie, as always, says Taishin and Biwa. And Mata is incredulous for good reason. It's like they look like friends. It's like, okay, well, I thought they were rivals, friends. What are they? And man, I wrote a short little paragraph. I do not have a script for this video. I really don't even know what this video is about. But we got to talk about these horses, man. All right. I'm going to read you the little post that I wrote. It's a short paragraph, and it should set the stage. And then we can start talking a little bit more. All right. So I say, sit down. I'll spin you a tale. BNW is the name of the famous trio that competed for the 1993 Triple Crown, comprised of Biwa Hyahide. Or yeah, Biwa. This is Biwa Hyahide. This is her in a Santa outfit that I keep getting from the banner, because whatever. Uh, Narita Taishin, one of the greatest competitors of all time. We're going to be talking about her a lot. What a great competitor. And Winning Ticket. This is Winning Ticket here. Now, IRL, it was just a normal competition between three just great horses in the wake of the Heisei 3 and Tokai Teo. If you don't know who the Heisei, God, I don't even know how you pronounce that word. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. But that's Ogre Cap, wherever she is here. Yeah, it'll be easier if I go by name. We got Ogre Cap. This is her dressed up in a winter outfit because that's very cute. Super Creek, and not pictured here is Inari 1. Now, why is Tamamo Cross not involved in that? I could not fucking tell you, dude. I don't understand. But essentially, this was kind of the next great triplet after the Heisei 3 came along and after Tokai Teo, right? So this is 1993. 2 years prior, Tokai Teo wins the Japanese Derby and goes through her whole arc. And then 2 years prior to that, Ogre Cap has her performance at her first Arima Keenan against Tom Mocross. The year before that, Gold City wins the Hanshin Stakes. They were at the time. They were not the juvenile fillies. So this is a important time in Japanese horse racing. I'm going off script. I've already I don't even have a script for this stupid video. I'm just talking, and I've already gone off of the posts I've made. I'm describing what the Heisei 3 and Tokai Teo are. I'll let you know when we stop our tangent and get back on. But basically, what you need to know about the Heisei 3, if you don't know, is that prior to that, it was kind of considered the dead era of horse racing. This is just after Sakura Star O, had her troubles and wasn't able to complete her Triple Crown, or his Triple Crown, sorry. I'm going to be mixing up pronouns a lot here, man. We're talking about horses and we're talking about horse girls, and it's going to get complicated. And I kind of forget sometimes. But this is after that. This is years after the last Triple Crown winner. This is a period of time before the Heisei 3, before Oguri Cap. Japanese horse racing was on a decline and it was starting to leave public consciousness to a degree. When Oguri Cap won and when the first ever like Japan Cup that she was in with Pay the Butler occurred, there was such a growth and increased interest in horse racing. And Oguri Cap was a hero, and Oguri Cap to this day is still one of the most well-known and recognizable horses in Japan. She has completely eclipsed her own legend. So after this, they're searching for other competitors. They're searching for other stories to tell. You have Tokai Teo and McQueen, and in 1993, they find these three new horses. Now, Narita Taishin is ostensibly the hero of this story, in my opinion. Narita Taishin had a weak constitution, and a small frame, but had a great force of will and a keen intellect, right? And it allowed him to be very efficient with his small size. Narita Taishin is like one of the shortest horses in this game. Like if you look at like, I don't even know where you see it. I think you see it in here. I think she's like, she's like the same height as freaking like 145 centimeters. Yeah, she's like the same height as fucking Nishino Flower, dude. Like she is not a tall horse. She is not a big horse. In fact, let's see. Right on Top Gun, right? Check this shit out. I think they're about the same height, right? But they're 2 centimeters off. That's like 1.1 inch, dude. Come on. I mean, she is a small, very small horse. And in the real world, Narita Taishin was very small. In fact, Narita Taishin is smaller than this is really saying. Like, I do not actually know if this is proportional. I'm pretty sure in the real world, Narita Taishin was smaller than Maya no Top Gun. Anyway, um, Narita Taishin didn't have the best personality, but God, what a competitive horse! What a strong power of soul, so to speak. I've talked about it before. I haven't made a video. Oh, by the way, my name's Baby Snake. If you don't know me, you do. You're from Earl Legends. You know me, hopefully. Um, I've talked about it before, but like Sunday Silence, what made Sunday Silence such a powerful horse in America was this incredible, incredible power of will and determination to live and a desire to compete and a love for competition and pushing themselves to excellence in the face of the hardships that they endured when they were younger. And, you know, the thing is that what it would seem is that those kind of things are not things that you develop in reaction to the bad things that happen to you, but rather is something innate in you that is brought out by those bad things. This is why we see Sunday Silence's children having such a specific personality around them. I mean, God forbid we start talking about Silent Sunday, Sunday Silence rather, right? But Narita Taishin has a similar story, in my opinion. Now, it did not have the same kind of like health issues and near death experiences that Silent Sunday did, um, but did have a hard time growing. They thought that he was a late foul, but no, he just grew small. He was just a short king. Um, Narita Taishin, when we get to the 1993 Yoisho, had been trained by a jockey whose name I do not remember. I'm gonna keep it real with you. I do not remember their name. I'm not great with jockeys. But at the same farm that he was being trained at, this senior jockey handed Narita Taishin off to the immortal, the incredible Utaka Take, who actually blamed himself for the near loss, or for that very close loss that Narita Taishin ended up having against Winning Ticket in the 1993 Yayoi show, which is, like a month before the Satsuki show. Now, he blamed his fear of the immense amount of power that Narita Taishin could put out. Now, prior to the Satsuki show, Taishin was not actually really part of the conversation. Yutaka Take what was very strong, was a very strong jockey and was seen a genius of his generation, but was not this larger than life figure that now if he jockeys a horse, people instantly pay attention, right? At the time he was great. But he was not the greatest of all time at that point. So Taishin's not part of the conversation. Loses by, oh God, I don't even know. I should have these numbers up, but like I said, I don't have a script for this. I call it like half and like it's pretty close. Winning Ticket wins, barely. But Take admits that he pulled back too much because he was just the force that Taishin put out threw him back, and he just got scared. He got scared. He was afraid of how powerful this horse was. So prior to the Satsuki show, Taishin, to my understanding, And you know the way these things happen, they kind of get dramatized. Sometimes things go understated. It's so hard to say, what were people 30 years ago in Japan thinking about a specific horse in a 1 month period, especially when I don't speak Japanese and I cannot go back and read old newspapers from Japan. But my understanding is that was not like good competitor, had decent odds, but the Triple Crown that year was being talked about as the B and W duel, B and W, between Biwa Hayahide and Winning Ticket. Now, Narita Taishin enters into the Satsuki show and wins, defeats Winning Ticket in the salty runback at the Satsuki show. And I mean, just proved that he had some of the greatest acceleration and power of any horse that has ever touched the turf. Um, but what we see happen here is that afterwards, there's a couple other races, and about a month before the Kikuwa show, right? So 2 months after the Satsuki show, there's the Japanese Derby, and loses by like a neck to Winning Ticket again. It's a great rivalry. And going into the Kikuwa show, Taishin has every opportunity to become a double crown winner and really cement himself as a person and a one second. I'm gonna mute this. A horse that could have been a triple crown. That if the Japanese Derby had gone a little bit better, that he could have been a triple crown winner. Um, God only knows what could have happened in the Kikuwa show had everything been okay uh, for Taishin. However, sadly, Taishin developed issues, pulmonary issues with their heart and lungs, and this caused them to be in such poor condition that they still ran Taishin for some reason in the Kikuwa show, maybe to save face. I don't really know. And Taishin got 17th out of 18. Um, Probably the worst performance that Taishin has ever produced. But God, I mean, under duress and injury, um, still going out there and doing his best. Now, after this failure at the Kikuwa show, and I hate calling it a failure because, I mean, it was a race that had every right to just not even go compete at. I mean, I think that we're lucky that this story continues past here, and this is not another example of they push a horse that should not be pushed, and a great competitor ends up maimed or injured or even dead. I mean, that's a sad reality. Um, Taishin comes back several months later in the spring and actually gets second in the spring Tenno show, the 3,200-meter spring Tenno show. Um, but still, just like then she develops an issue, or he develops an issue, I believe it's with tendonitis, right? So starts to get inflammations in their tendons in their knee, I believe, and so has to take another year off. So has this great performance in the Satsuki show and the Japan Cup, and then injuries plague them. A year later, they're ready to compete again, get second place in in the spring Tenno show, which is incredible, and then injury again, and then a year later, Taishin returns to the track one more time, and I think it's like fifth in like a G2 race, and at this point, Taishin's like 5 years old, has been injured for, literally almost all of his career. And they let him retire and live in prestige. I mean, a Satsuki show winner is not inferior to a Derby horse, is not inferior to an Arima Keenan horse. I mean, if you really ask me, any horse that sets hoof on the track is a competitor that has entrusted themselves to the companionship that humans have with animals, and to the soulful connection that we have with animals who don't logically understand what's going on, but have a incredible empathetic capacity to love and respect and trust in ways that, I mean, humans, we really can't. And it boggles the mind, the love that animals who have such a strong and fear response have towards, a species that looks nothing like them, that are confusing and portray very scary and strange body language. Despite everything, horses love us, and it's a beautiful thing in this world, and it's a mysterious and beautiful thing. Um, I'm on a tangent again. Jesus Christ. All right, so Taishin comes back, wasn't the same, retires, right? So that's Taishin the horse, right? That's Taishin as a horse. It is a story primarily of great success, of great power and misunderstanding in fighting against perception. I mean, people did not perceive Taishin as serious because it was such a small horse. People at the stable did not think that Taishin had it in him because he was such a small horse. And yet, despite everything, was just so in tune with his own body that he could pull out performances that other horses could not. Incredible horse, incredible competitor, and clearly a love for competition, clearly a love for competing and getting out there and running. These are animals born to run. These are animals born to run in the steppes of Mongolia, and to evade predation by running as fast as they can. And these are animals that, in the protection and safety of humans, are able to turn this thing which is life or death for them into a joyful activity. And I mean, what a beautiful thing that is. So that's Narita Taishin the horse. What is Narita Taishin the Uma? So Narita Taishin goes through a similar story arc. I really encourage you to either play through her career or go find like an online playthrough of it or something. Hell, I might do it sometime and we'll just read each thing. I think I will actually potentially do that. But God, it's an incredible story, and it mirrors everything that's going on there. And I've talked a lot about the ethos of Uma Musume, and the ethos here is that Taishin is a horse that had greatness within her, had a greatness within him, and that spark of genius was only able to be shared with us for so long, and until the material reality of the situation causes a somebody who tried their best, and who had the faith of those standing behind them put into him, now gets a second chance to relive glory and remind us of the power and determination that they have, right? So Taishin's story has a lot of stuff to do about, her own complex over her short stature, not being taken seriously, not being seen as this serious competitor, and having to fight so much harder than everybody else. Um, you know, Scraping by in her maiden race, at least in the real world. In the story, they portray Taishin as running behind Biwa back in middle school and being completely left in her dust and not even being perceived. She was just a another competitor that was being passed by greatness. That Biwa Hayahide had her sights on Narita Bryan, the great Triple Crown winner, um, completely forgotten and passed aside, and has to struggle and fight and push to get a spot in this elite class that she wants to be in because she wants to be taken seriously. It is not as superfluous and egotistical as that. She loves to run. She loves to compete. She is a competitor. She's a champion before anything else. And she wants to be part of that conversation. She wants to be part of that elite club of people who is doing their best and competing and have people recognize her strength. The strength that she has spent so much time working on and building and deserves to be recognized for. Now, um, she also has a weak constitution. In the turn before the Kikua show, there is a event called Don't Say It. And effectively what happens is that she collapses during training. She's training on her own time. She's pushing herself. She wants to win the Kikua show. She wants to defeat Biwa Hayahide. She wants to have a great competition and become a Triple Crown winner. And pushes herself, despite her weak constitution, to the point of collapse. And you have a moment with her in the doctor's office where there's the obvious answer of you should not be competing in the Kikua show. And I will say there is some interesting ideas going in here about like in the real world, this is a horse that probably really should not have ran that Kikua show, versus now in Umasume, we have this horse girl who is literally begging us to let her compete. Um, I will say that I in the real world, I do not believe that she should have done the Kikua show. That he should not have ran the Kikua show. But I will say in game, Narita Taishin needs this. She needs to run. It is her life's purpose. It's what she wants. She's, to be fair, a living, intelligent individual with autonomy in the game, whereas the real life horse did not really have the autonomy to decide whether or not they want to race in the Kikua show or have any way of understanding their condition. Anyway, I'm going to try not to talk too much about that because we'll be sitting here all day, and it's a complicated conversation with a lot of nuance. But anyway, she begs you, do not take this away from me. Do not tell me that I cannot race in the Kikua show. It's all she has. All she has in her life, in her perception, is racing. The only thing that will make her great, the only thing that will make her somebody worthy of standing up there with the other great competitors, with winning ticket and Biwa Hayahide, and to reach the level of Narita Bryan and Oguri Cap and all of the greats that came before her, and to be her own greatness, she begs you, don't take it from her. She's so prideful. She's so aloof. Um, she's very stubborn and distant and cold with the trainer in a lot of things. And here, I mean, it's just it's an earnest request. Let her compete. You let her compete. And the goal race, you can get any place. If you get 17th, if you get 18th, it does not matter. You will continue through the goal race. So, that was all a tangent. That's not even on the little post I wrote. Jeez, we're still on the post, by the way. I don't know how long we've. Okay, we're 24 minutes in, and I have not gotten through my little post yet. So, but it's important to talk about. Her weak constitution ultimately resulted in her real life retirement. But here, it is a major stumbling block and a huge reduction to the actual power and success that you can have with an Narita Taishin run. If you've ran Narita Taishin, don't say it is very hard and sometimes kills a run. Um, However, this is one of the greatest competitors to ever touch the track. And so long as you continue to believe in her and give her the support she needs and heal the injuries and deal with the reality of her situation, she will continue competing and she will do well. Now, the kind of third part of her angst between her small frame and her weak constitution is this subtlety, and it's not really displayed super well in the game, but it's an undertone. It's an undertone, and it's something that Narita Taishin comes to terms with more than anything, which is she doesn't have really serious rivals. Um, Winning Ticket, I love Winning Ticket. I was hoping we could see Winning Ticket out here maybe. Um, but Winning Ticket, if you don't know her, just like go look up some videos about her. She's a very emotional Huma. She is a girl who is easily moved to emotions. She cries when things are beautiful. She cries when she's happy. She cries when she's sad. She cries when she cries. She cries all the time. She is loud and energetic and excited and just loves racing. I mean, there is nothing in this girl's head but loving to be around her friends and playing with her friends. Racing for her is saying it's just a game feels a bit dismissive of her, but it is a joyful activity where she doesn't care if she gets first, second, or third as long as she does her best. And this is completely at odds with Narita Taishin, who does care. She cares very strongly if she gets first, second, or third. She cares very strongly about not only winning but dominating and doing her best. Um, these are forces at odds, and it's something that's frustrating on the side of somebody like Narita Taishin because you go out there and you have this killer instinct and this desire to fight and compete and to have to grind yourself into the dirt for a victory. And she doesn't have anybody that does that back to her. She doesn't have anybody else who's out there killing themselves, fighting and thinking and grinding themselves into dust and worrying and stressing out about these things. Because Winnie Ticket, she trains hard. I'm not saying that she doesn't, but there is not this fire in her heart where the night before she's going to be running past midnight, just doing everything she can to eke out the last little advantage that she can. She's not ruminating over it. And then now we got to talk about her other rival, Biwa Hayahide. Biwa Hayahide is almost completely obsessed with and only concerned with Narita Bryant. She does not fucking care about the Triple Crown. She does not care about how well she does in the Derby, in the Satsuki show, and even in the Kikuya show. Everything is about getting her salty run back with Narita Bryan, who is her sister, and defeating her and showing that she is as powerful as this Triple Crown winner. Narita Taishin is alone in here. Narita Taishin is alone in BNW. She is alone in this triangle. She has competitors, and they're great competitors, but nobody really looks at Taishin and says, "I'm going to defeat you at the Japanese Derby. I'm gonna beat you at the Kikuya show. I'm gonna compete." She doesn't think about it this way. In beginning of a new era, the angst that Jungle Pocket feels is based off the fact that she has this great rival, this untouchable rival of Agnes Tachyon, and gets defeated and keeps pushing and keeps saying, "I'm going to beat you here." Loses the Setsuki show. Okay, well, I'm going to beat you at the Derby. I'm going to beat you here. I'm going to beat you at the Japan Cup. I'm going to beat you here. I'm going to beat you here. And she goes through this existential crisis of like, Takyon's gone. She took the win and she's gone. And now what do you have? You have no rivals. You have nobody who drives that fire in you. And she's able to find rivals in TM Opera O, in Manhattan Cafe, in Dansu Flame. You know, she's able to find competitors and friends and to have a legacy based on competition, but there will always be the angst of the rivalry that was lost. And furthermore, it's a rivalry that never was. It never felt good. Tachyon in game doesn't reciprocate it in the way that Jungle Pocket wants, right? It's very obvious, right, in their interaction, and we'll take that interaction and then we'll laterally kind of move it over to Narita Taishin. But Jungle Pocket wants a rival that when she goes up to them and says, "I'm going to beat you you gave me a loss at the Satsuki show. I'm going to give you a loss at the Japanese Derby," looks back at her with fire in their eyes and says, "I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen. You're on." And they compete and they kiss and they have a great spirit of fire in them and a great competitive rivalry. But she doesn't have that. She does not get that from Tachyon. Tachyon does not care. And it sucks. And we saw how much it hurts Pocket. It hurts Taishin too. When she goes and talks to Winning Ticket's crying about the fact that she saw a fucking cat that was laying on its back and had their fluffy tummy up, and she got to pet the cat. And Biwa Hayahide is sitting there thinking about a race that's going to happen in 6 months against somebody that's not her. She has nobody that looks back at her and says, "You are one of the most dangerous and powerful competitors that's on the track, and I want to defeat you." Nobody says that to her. Ticket's so positive. Everything's fun. Taishin feels silly in a lot of interactions, trying to beef with Winning Ticket, trying to engage in a serious, like boiling and negative emotion filled rivalry. She wants to engage in negative emotions to a degree because she feels negative emotions. And she wants a catharsis from the feelings of regret and uh, doubt that people have put on her, and she never really gets that. She gets a lot of good feelings. She gets friends. She has people who respect her, but she never gets somebody that is afraid of her and tries their best to defeat her and reflects the feelings that other people put in her. Narita Taishin sits there and watches Biwa Hayahide and is afraid and is shaken and in awe of her power. She's impressed by Winning Tickets. She's afraid. She shakes thinking about can she defeat these people. And it makes her excited. And nobody does that back for her. She never gets the catharsis and conclusion that she wants, which is she wants somebody to feel the same way about her that she felt about Biwa Hayahide back in middle school. And she never does. She never gets that. Let's see. The next part of it, God, that was all a tangent, right? I mean, this is all a tangent. Um, Uematsume is a chance for horses to relive their glory and receive recognition for what could have been, what was, and what they represent. I mention to because this is all in response to this Mata person. I say, despite this, you mentioned this yourself. They just seem like friends, and they just do seem like friends. There's no spark of rivalry in BNW. It seems no different than when they put like Nice Nature and Marvelous Sunday together. When they put any two Umas together, it just kind of feels like, oh, these are just, three friendly horses that probably have some kind of interaction between each other. There's not the deeply serious competitive emotions that exist that go down to their core. And to be fair, that's not something that gets displayed a ton in Umasume anyway, at least in the game, right? You see this in some of the um, animes and such, like in Cinderella Gray and in the second season of the anime or in beginning of New Era. You see these things, and you do see some stuff like this in like Manhattan Cafe's career or whatever. Um, it doesn't always do a great job of representing the negative because the negative doesn't feel as good, and I get that. And I'm not saying that they should dwell on negative feelings of competition. But negative feelings are just as real and important to competition as positive ones. Feeling afraid and in awe and wanting to crush somebody else in competition is as real of a feeling for a competitor as gaining a rival, a friendly rival that you respect for life, right? And it's important because this exists here. Um, let's see. The next thing I said is tickets is a happy, friendly girl that cries. Yeah, it's all the stuff I said. Taishin's the only one that's just very deeply invested. That feels like she has something to prove. Ticket does not feel like she has anything to prove. Bio Hi does not feel like she has anything to prove in the BNW trio. She only feels like she has something to prove against Narita Bryant. The only person that wins or loses in BNW is Taishin. She is the only one. She was not even part of this originally. It was originally the B and W duel between Biwa and Ticket. She had to force her way in. And if she wasn't there, then it would have been a competition. It wouldn't have been anything interesting. It would have just been two horses that competed a little bit against each other. It wouldn't have been interesting. So that is the post. And I've gone on a bunch of tangents, so I think I've kind of gotten the idea out there now. But this is who Narita Taishin is, at least in respects to BNW. Um, I probably should have written a script for this. I probably should have put some thought and research into things because I've just been talking for 36 minutes off the cuff. This is all just random shit. But there's a lot to say about you know, what B&W represents in totality in Uma Musume and her interactions and talking about each of her events and understanding the core feelings that are there and how they underpin something that I think a lot of other Umas don't. She's very similar to Gold City to me, which is, I mean, I don't know if I have a thing for Umas that fucking hate me, or if I have a thing for Umas that have a deep sense of competition or Umas that need somebody that truly believes in them or what the fuck it is about me. But man, I love these two. These two are probably my two favorite Umas, and I take training them very seriously. Um, I want to tell a story to wrap this up, I guess. There's too many different thoughts. I'll keep on going on stupid tangents, and I don't even know if there's really a thesis in those. And I do believe that Musume is about a thesis of what we mean to say. Um, I'm 27th? Are you kidding? Oh my God. Dude, come on. I'm all the way down to 27th? I'm supposed to be like 20th. Oh, it's because I'm at 84,000 or 840,000. I need to be, I'm supposed to be like 860. Yeah, I'd be like 20th. I need to get, okay, I'll do that afterwards. We don't need to do that right now. Oh my God. Anyway, I want to talk about orientation just a little bit more because I think that I can at least give one last thing that fits into the thematic bonds that I've been talking about here. Under my filters, this is a filter that I use for what I kind of consider my legacy Uma. They are Umas that represent something. They represent some sort of um, idea, right? And like, okay, this is the first A plus. These are just really old Umas. This is my first S. I feel like there's a couple more. I feel like I'm missing some. It's very disorganized when you have 230 things. But this is Narita Taishin. This Narita Taishin was trained October 13th of 2025. And this was in regards to the, oh gosh, which CM was this? I was training her for the, I think was it a Libra? Was it Scorpio? Wait, this wasn't from the previous one. This is from way, way back when. Dude, who is this for? Wait. We only have one wet condition one, which was the Scorpio Cup, but that was the previous one. That wasn't this one. Why do I have wet condition 2 on here? Dude, I am confused. I'm pretty sure that this was for the I think it was for the Leo Cup. I'm pretty sure this was for Leo Cup. This was for the Hanshin 2,200 meter, maybe? Where's this Cancer Cup? Jeez. I can't remember. It's been so long. I'm sorry. I'll figure out what it is in a minute here. But Narita Taishin here, you can tell that this is not particularly the strongest Uma that I built, right? I've definitely built probably a couple of stronger Umas. Sorry, that totally threw me off there. Jesus. Um, that completely threw me off. I can't believe I don't remember which one it was. Maybe Taurus? I don't know. This is barely enough stamina for it anyway. Well, I guess we'll get to that about why it's like this. So, anyway, it was for a CM. Okay, it was for a CM, and uh, I was training in Narita Taishin in the middle of the competition because I felt like having a Narita Taishin in the competition. I did not have a Narita Taishin. I was running other Umas, and I thought about trying to. Oh, that's what it was. It was Cancer. It was the Cancer Cup. It was the um um no, it was Virgo Cup. It was Virgo Cup. It was a 1,600 meter Virgo Cup, clockwise firm condition. Um, God, yeah, that's what it was. This was CM5. This is a CM5 UMA. And I remember in that CM5, I did not prepare at all for it. I used a bunch of my team trial UMAs, and I was running winning ticket, vodka, and like, I don't even remember, like some front runner or pacer or something, right? And I wanted to build a Taishin because I just like Taishin. I just really liked Taishin. And I saw other people using Taishin to great success, and I know that she's very good on mile. So I went to go build and train under a Taishin. And when I went to do that, I had this run. And this run struggled a lot. She lost very badly at some very important races. Uh, she got ninth place in the Victoria Mile, which was not a good sign because this is, basically the race that we're getting ready to go for. This is for a 1,600 meter uh, race. And so we lose that, and we actually end up even getting a spring runner down, um, which we didn't need to fix as for an autumn run. And she just struggled, so she failed a bunch of trainings, and she wasn't doing very well. And it took so long to activate a lot of her skills, and a lot of the skills didn't even come along, and just it wasn't going very well. The uh, Her inspirations did not go particularly well, and so in the end, we get to the finals, and we just barely scraped along. Like, I stopped taking additional races. These are all just required races because things were not going well. Any time that she had a race that we took as optional, things just were not going the way that we really wanted them to. So I avoided them. And in the end, we get to the finals, and you can probably tell from her speed, but that means this speed, 1050 with 494 power, means we're going into the finale with like 450 stamina and 1,000 speed and like 250 guts and like less than 400 wit. She lost 3 times in a row. She kept losing. She just struggled so hard to win this race. And then on the very last try, on the very last one, she just barely pulled out a first place. And I just remember during this run, and don't say it, I just, I felt like this was, I really felt for this Taishin. Something inside me told me that this Taishin was just struggling and that I had to believe. If I didn't believe, it would not matter. If I did not believe in her and I didn't support her, then none of this mattered. And so I kept pushing. She had just lost the Takarazuka Kingdom. She I don't have a good summer. Summer one and summer two were not good. This is basically the worst I could possibly do on a run at the time. This is with like full power inherent, dude. And we got like 989 power. Um, but when Don't Say came along, I just kind of sat there for a second and I knew that Narita Taishin is one of the greatest competitors in Umusume. And more than anybody else, she wants to compete to prove something. And more than anybody else, she feels that her validation is created from racing. And even though that's not true, and even though she is great regardless of her successes or where she sits in the meta or whatever, it is her feelings and her life and what she feels. And we have an obligation to fulfill that. We have an obligation to do what we can. And so I knew at that moment when I lost the Kikuwa show here, and at this point I have like 500 speed and like 500 power and like 300 stamina, and I'm looking really rough. I'm coming out of summer one with like 1600 stats. I knew that I was going to run her in the CM. I knew I was going to run her in CM5. And so I fought for this run. I fought as hard as I could to give her everything I could, anything I could give her. The wet condition was because it was the style at the time that there was an inkling in team trials that wet condition could be useful, and she had a lot of mile parents, so I thought that if she got like a mile spark and got wet conditions, she could be a useful parent. So that was just kind of me setting that up because I had nothing else to spend these wet condition sparks on, right? Or I had nothing else to spend those skill points on. Um, but I knew once that this started to fail that I had to run her. That I could not, I couldn't stomach it, man. I could not stomach the idea of her losing the Takarazuka Kinen, working so hard in summer, failing trainings, and just bad things happening to her. And then she she gets hurt and she goes to the Kikuwa show and she loses. And she doesn't even get in fifth place. She doesn't get a podium. I could not, in the same way that I could not tell her to not run in the Kikuwa show, I could not tell her that she didn't deserve a spot to compete. And so I took the rest of this run as seriously as I could. I raced where I had to. Um, I took as many stats as I could. I did as much as I could to turn the run around. And some of it didn't go well, some of it did. And what we're left with is an UMA that, at the time, this was like the lowest score I had gotten in like a month. 1,000 or 10,585 was the lowest I got outside of runs that like died in like classic or like early senior year. In terms of UMAs that actually made it through the finals, this was the lowest score I had yet to get. And when you look at her skills, there's some promise here. We have Let's Pump Some Iron. We have Encroaching Shadow. We have Professor Courager. Back then, I didn't know much about CMs, and I didn't think super hard about what I was really doing with things. But you can kind of see how this does have the chance to just explode. And so I took Narita Taishin to the track. And I gave her one round in CM. I gave her one 5 round attempt, 5 match round, and it was a bad one, man. My vodka wasn't doing particularly well. Whoever my front runner wasn't doing particularly well. She was replacing the winning ticket, who actually had done some decent stuff. It was actually making some decent moves. Um, but this is like probably I mean, the uh CM5 is, I'm pretty sure, the literal worst I have done on a CM to date. It was just so rough, and it was a complete failure, and I lost super hard, and nothing really worked. And the only thing that really kept me afloat was my vodka, uh, having a complete turnaround in the second round. Despite all that, despite everything, I don't know what my win percentage was. I don't remember all the other wins. I don't remember too much about the vodka and the winning ticket and whoever the other frontrunner was. But I will always, always remember this Narita Taishin, because in that one 5 round match that I gave her, the 5 match round rather, that I gave her, she won one of them. And she was the only win of those 5 matches. She won one. And Uma, with 10,000 total, with negative spring run or debuff, probably doesn't even have enough stamina to actually do the race. Barely any wit, no mile S, not 1200 speed, has fucking wet conditions too. Doesn't actually even have the capability of activating tail held high, I don't think. Um, yeah, she literally cannot activate tail held high with this configuration. Um, she won. She won. And she won because I believed. She won because I never stopped believing in her. And she won because I didn't give up, and she didn't give up, and I gave her the chance to show off. And so she has a greater achievement than most other Umas. I have 227 Umas here right now. I have had hundreds of Umas in my time. I think that I have like 700 career completions or something like this. Right? Hundreds of Umas, and very few of them have ever competed in a CM. And in the entire world, most Umas are not CM Umas. And even the ones that they get put into CMs, a lot of them don't even get wins. There's thousands of Umas that compete in CMs and never get a win. And that Narita Taishin, who lost the Kikuo show, who lost the Victoria Mile, who fought tooth and nail to cross the finish line in the ERA finals, went out there and won me one CM. She won me one match. And that puts her in the top 0.1% of all Umas that will ever race. It makes her one of the greatest, one of the most powerful. I believe so strongly in Narita Taishin's ability to succeed. I know she has it in her, that when she steps on the track, no matter what happens, whether she gets debuffed, whether something goes bad, whether she gets blocked, you can never count her out. Because she is always looking for a way to win. She wants to win. And she is a winner. And so, what is great about Masume is that when presented with this angsty triangle of unrecognized feelings and lost connections and no good ending, we, as the trainers, are able to step in and create a new path, a new connection, to give these horses something. Narita Taishin wants to compete and she wants to be believed in and she wants people that compete with her. And as trainers, we are able to provide that for her. I believe in her. I know how powerful she is. She's more powerful than she realizes. And I gave her competitors that were worth defeating. When she went to that CM, there was no winning ticket that was joking around and smiling. There was no Biwa High that cared about something else. Every competitor at that CM was a killer that wanted her to lose, that wanted to win against her. And she, through her own power, was able to knock them all down and take victory from all these other Umas and prove her own strength. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So this was kind of a rambling video. Like I said, I really don't know what I was even really trying to say. I just kind of wanted to talk about Narita Taishin a little bit and, kind of uh, give a little bit of expansion on that short little thing I wrote earlier. I'll show you here. You can kind of take a look at it here. But, this is all I wrote. This is like, I was at work and I just wrote a quick little paragraph. I tried to read it directly, but God, I just went off on tangent after tangent, man. So, you know, what else is there to say? I didn't come into this particularly with a strong motive or idea of what it means for Narita Taishin to exist and what BNW means. And there's a lot more to say, but I think that the rest of it has to be felt. So I encourage you so strongly. Go read her story. Go do her career. Run her. Try her. See the struggles that she goes through and the immense power that she has available to her. And if you ever interact with her, please believe in her and recognize the immense power that made great people like Yutaka Take and the great competitors of the 1993 Japanese horse racing season have to contend with her. Sorry, my nose is getting kind of stuffy here. I think it's just my allergies a little bit. Ugh. Good way to end the video, eh? Good way to kill the moment. Go read her story. Go try her career, and you know, always bet on Taishin. Thank you very much. Peace.